listen. You listen. Dave Tice, how you going, buddy? We meet again.
Yeah,
I've seen you before somewhere.
Last time I saw you, you were a bit second rate, mate. You looked like well, I know that you were second rate because I had something to do with that.
was it a late night, but it was good fun?
Yeah, well, a bit of scotch and a bit of bullshit, mate. It all goes down well, doesn't it?
And it was a although maybe not from your point of view, it was a good gig. I enjoyed it. It was nice to see you and Mark get up there.
Yeah, well, I always enjoy playing, anyway, Michael. It's my business as well as my pleasure. I just find it a bit annoying sometimes when you have a bit of a problem with the equipment, which is what was going on a little bit last night. As you saw, we had a few challenges. And ladies and thanks very much, man. Ladies and gentlemen, that sound you're hearing is our breakfast arriving.
Well, let's go back in time, mate. In Buffalo, it was 7 albums you put out with Buffalo?
5 albums. 5, yeah. There's been a number of compilations since, so I suppose you can start counting those up as well. I personally don't count them as Buffalo albums, but Rene Baker, you'd know who Rene Baker is, rock brain of the universe, he tells me. Well, he did a compilation album of Buffalo stuff in the 80s, I think it was. And now, as you'd be aware, there's all these reissues are coming out, which I know that you've heard some of that stuff.
And the packages that come out are absolutely magnificent. Not just the quality of the re-recording of it, but the extra bits and pieces that haven't seen the light of day or haven't been too easy to get your hands on.
Well, I must admit, some of those things have surprised me too, Michael. Because I didn't know there's some things that I didn't even know existed until these albums appeared. Well, John Baxter, who was the guitar player of the band, was much more of an archivist than I was. He collected all kinds of arcane recordings and things, and I know that when Aztec were putting these packages together, they accessed me for various bits of information, and a lot of the photographs, the old photographs that you see in those packages are things that I had in my scrapbook, But John had, I think he had video footage of us playing at the opening of the Opera House in Sydney.
Fantastic.
None of that appeared on the albums, these albums, of course, but I know he's got that stuff. And he used to collect all these different bits of recordings I didn't even know we'd done. But I've got to commend Aztec. They do a fantastic job, and it's good to see an Australian company taking a bit of care and reissue Australian stuff. Because especially when you think about the 70s, there was a huge amount of creativity going on in the Australian music scene in those days. I'm sure there is now, but we all felt we were part of something kind of groundbreaking at that time. When you think back, you got Spectrum, Rose Tattoo Static, sort of mid-70s, but the Angels or Cold Chisel, you run them off. There were so many bands going around doing quintessentially Australian rock music, and at the time, even though there were large audiences and a lot of people were buying records, I still think that generally the Australian attitude was a little bit self-deprecating. The prevailing attitude was that if it was from Australia, it wasn't quite as good as what came from England or America, which is completely wrong, and ridiculous, really. But I think it's taken 25 to 30 years for people to actually sort of come to the realisation that stuff, there's a lot of stuff from that period that still holds a lot of water now,
Well, as I think we mentioned last night, Buffalo still, you're still getting emails from Europe, from people that remember you.
Well, a lot of that is down to these reissues as well, because there was always a small clique of people in places like Europe who would go out of their way to collect stuff from other markets, Australia or whatever. But nowadays there seems to be a lot of younger guys, younger players, especially in like stoner rock bands in Europe and that are discovering this stuff for the first time and thinking they've struck the mother lode. Well, it was a marvellous thing, because I recall only too well that when we were doing these things, nobody thought that something you recorded today was going to be relevant in 12 months' time. It was just like, this is something that you do. you sell as many as you can, and then it disappears. You know, and then you've got to come up with something else. You know, as I say, Aztec, fantastic job. Gil Matthews and his people there put together a great package, and you know, being able to hear it remastered digitally, there's things that I hear in there that I'd forgotten we did. You know? You rediscover things, you know.
Can you eat while we talk? Is that all right?
I can eat as long as you don't mind my slobber.
No, not at all.
It's sounding a bit slobbery, mate. You know. Excuse me, folks. It's me. You know, lunchtime. We're having. What are you having there, Michael? You've got yourself a chicken sandwich.
Chicken sandwich in salubrious downtown Hindley Street. We are.
Yeah. Well, mate, this is the cultural heart of Adelaide, isn't it?
Well, I don't know about that. Close enough, but today it is. Only because we're here.
I remember being here some years ago, playing at some little club downstairs with Mal Eastick, you know, because I was talking with Mal Eastick at the time. This would have been with Dave Evans. Excuse me, folks. Hey, Mr. Badass! He's ignoring me. Dave Evans, first lead singer of the AC/DC, is right across the road, folks. He's talking on his mobile phone, and he's studiously ignoring me because he thinks I'm sort of mad rabid fan.
He's turned around too.
Yeah, he's turned his back on me.
Actually, you mentioned Mal, you've had a quite a long association with Mal, and in my humble opinion, he is the finest guitar player to ever come out of this city.
Mal? Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, that's a sweeping statement, Michael. Because I'm sure that there are some fantastic other, you know, people.
In my humble opinion.
Yeah. Well, but there's no doubt about it. I spent 18 months on the road with Mal, and you know, we had a really great time. It's you know, as we were saying last night, it's been a bit unfortunate over the last couple of years, that Mal really hasn't been doing that much live work, you know.
No, and I'd love to see him come back to South Australia a bit more, and I know he would love to as well. Well,
you know, he's a South Australian boy, and I know he's great affection for the place, you know.
He does indeed. Well, while we're on the subject of Buffalo, I just wanted to bring up the subject of Mr. Wells. I read the eulogy you wrote on your website, mate, and what a tear to my eye. He was obviously, I guess, similar to the affection you have for Mark Evans now, not just as a musician but as a mate.
Well, yeah, you see, I mean, Peter and I began our careers together in Brisbane. You know, I was just a new Australian, living on a migrant hostel actually up just outside of Brisbane there. And Pete was a local lad, and you know, as you do when you're 15, 16 years old, I took my father in to get me a guitar and started banging away with some friends. And I can't remember actually how we originally met, but Pete turned up one day and he was playing, because most people know Pete as a slide guitar player, obviously, but he was a demon bass player, Pete, you know, and he was somewhat, about maybe a couple of years ahead of the rest of us in terms of his playing experience. He'd been working around with pickup bands around Brisbane for a while, and we started banging away in the garage. You know what it's like, everybody's done it, you know, 4 or 5 mates, you know, second-hand amplifier and a couple of guitars and away you go. So we started out, it would have been about 1967, I think.
Is that right?
In fact, I have a press clipping which my mother saved and gave to me a couple of years back, which is from a Brisbane newspaper with a photograph and everything, with our first band called the Odd Colours. A big photograph of myself and Pete. So, and that was 1967. And from there, we did stuff around Brisbane for a couple of years. And it, you know, I suppose it's similar in many ways to Adelaide. A smallish town, so the problem are that you become overexposed very quickly.
Yeah.
And then you think, well, if we're going to go anywhere with this, we've got to go to either Sydney or Melbourne, you know. And we ended up, the band that we took down from Brisbane, we loaded up the old Valiant station wagon, and off we went down the Pacific Highway with our gear strapped to the roof. And that band was called Head. And we arrived in Sydney, and within short order we lost our Brisbane guitar player and our Brisbane drummer. They'd got homesick and went back to Brisbane. Pete and I stayed living in the Plaza Hotel in King's Cross.
Okay.
Which was an exciting time, believe me, you know. All the rooms were taken by either musicians or prostitutes.
The subject of a famous John Walker song, indeed, as well.
So it was a real education for a couple of boys from Brisbane, you know. And within short order, we picked up John Baxter through an ad in one of the music magazines at the time, and that was the formation of Buffalo. And of course, you know, from that point we ended up doing the 5 albums and toured back to front, up and down the bloody country. It was one of the, you know, it was what we were talking about before, you know, the cultural cringe as far as Australia and Australian music was concerned at that time was such that, you know, the second album that Buffalo put out started getting airplay in Buffalo, New York.
Is that right?
Obviously some DJ there saw or heard about the band and thought, oh, well, this connects with our town here, and we started getting some serious airplay. Anyway, you would think that in a situation like that, a record company would say to you, okay guys, you're starting to break in America, we'll send you there. But they never did, you know, so wasted opportunity. You know.
And soon after that you headed off to the UK. What's up, is that, did you have work lined up there or mates there that you were hooking up with, or it was just to have a change of scenery?
No, what happened was that, excuse me folks, I'm chewing toast here. After we did the 5th album, by that time Pete had already decided that he wanted to start playing slide guitar. So he didn't do the 5th album with us, he did the 4th one, and then he started putting together Rose Tattoo. You know, he had this whole concept of what he wanted to do. He wanted to play slide, he wanted to play that kind of music. So we did the 5th album with Chris Turner playing guitar and a guy called Ross Sims on bass. And, you know, when you've been doing a band for like 5 or 6 years, you lived in each other's pockets, and you've had a vision of where you want to go with it, and the thing starts to fall apart, you kind of lose heart a little bit, you know.
Sure.
And it just so happened that Paul Balby, who was the drummer on the very first Buffalo album we did, had been living in England and had been working with these guys called the Count Bishops over there. And he came back to Australia, we hooked up, and he said, oh, we've just signed a recording deal, and the guy we had singing has been fired, you know, we need a singer. You know, because I'd sort of reached, as I say, the stage with Buffalo where I thought, God, I'm, you know, a bit tired of this. Anyway, they asked me to go and join the band and sent me an airline ticket. I jumped on a plane, went to London. About 30 hours after I got off the plane, I was in the studio putting the vocals down on the Count Bishop's first album. They'd recorded all the backing tracks already, all the music. And I did the vocals in that in 2 days. Yeah,
unbelievable.
Yeah, and that was, you know, like I say, 30 hours after I got off the plane. I had to learn, I don't know, 15 songs. And
did you hit live work straight away as well?
About 3 weeks after I got there, we started doing gigs, I think, because we had to rehearse a little bit, obviously, and having to finish the album off, mixing and God knows what else, you know. But yeah, I did 3 albums there with the boys.
So did you tour around Europe as well as the UK, mate?
Well, we didn't tour around Europe, but we did do trips into like Belgium, Holland, and places like that where we'd do festivals.
Yeah.
Before I joined the band, they had done a lot more very low-key, you know, small venue touring in Europe. But we did a lot of touring around England, Scotland, Ireland. You know, I think it's a lot like here, you know, unless you're, there's a certain level you've got to reach before you can expect to do some serious touring.
Yeah.
You know, and you can do the one-offs, you can you know, work in your own local area, but if you want to go away and do serious touring, you've got to have a profile which justifies that. Yeah. And really that's down to, you know, as you know, you've got to have records out, get some success. It's a funny thing, you know, that I've been involved in this business for quite a long time now, and it seems as though I've been too often involved in things that get to a certain stage and then something comes along to screw it up.
Do you notice me?
Dave.
G'day, mate.
You're blind, mate.
Me too.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dave Evans. Speak to the mic. Michael Purse.
Okay, Michael, what the
Hey,
fuck,
we're just in the middle
man?
of breakfast and
I thought you were snoozing today.
I'm all right, mate. You just getting today, or you?
No, mate, I've been a couple of days and working me flat out. I thought we'd come here for a holiday. No way. But I flew in from the US a few days beforehand to try and get rid of the jet lag in Melbourne. I got a couple of days in Melbourne. Okay, they wanted to fly me straight from there here. I went, fucking forget it. You know? Yeah, thanks. Yeah, right, sure. You know?
You got stuff on today, Dave?
Yeah, I've been flat out all day yesterday. Today we did that sunrise thing this morning.
Oh, yeah.
We're up at 5 again this morning, and what else did we do? We did something else, and I've just done a radio thing. I think, did you come in yesterday, didn't you?
Yeah, we played last night at the Wah Bar.
Oh, right, okay. Did you do that radio thing yesterday?
No.
A radio interview?
No.
Oh, you must be going to be doing it then.
Yeah, there you go.
We're doing a radio interview right now, mate.
Yeah, you have another one to do.
No,
Right?
speaking to him.
Oh.
Say hello, Dave.
Oh, my God. I'm glad I didn't say anything incriminating.
This is Dave Evans, king of the badasses.
King of the badasses. King of the badasses.
So did they get Mark out of bed at 5 o'clock this morning? He wasn't too keen last night, mate.
No, he wasn't there.
He said he was going to boycott it.
Yeah, he did.
We did a gig last night, finished about 1:30. Got to bed about 4. You know, they'd asked Mark and I to be involved in that, but I just said...
They're smart, these guys. They come over here or Perth or wherever to do stuff, and they get gigs at the same time. Very smart. Very smart. The only ones that does it. None of us do it.
It's called survival, Dave.
Yeah, but smart, mate.
So they wouldn't pay you to bring the band with you then?
Not this time, no. I'm hoping to do an Australian tour, maybe May.
Okay, fantastic.
Bringing the badasses out here to show Aussies that I've found some fucking Americans who can play Aussie fucking rock, finally. I've been through about 6 bass players, 6 drummers, fucking trying to get them to play our brand, you know. I love it, but they haven't got that.
They haven't got the Australian attitude, mate.
No, they haven't got that bit kind of.
You got some mongrel in you, haven't you?
That's it, mate. That's it. You know, so I taught them how to do it.
Well, I did some stuff in America a couple of years back with Dennis Walker, Robert Cray's producer. Right? And one of the things he said to me was, he said, man, you Aussies, you've got a real hard edge. How do you guys do that? You know, he couldn't quite.
Come to some of the pubs out west, all right?
Yeah.
Come down to Maui.
Come and do a gig of Blacktown, mate.
Yeah, exactly. You'll find out in a hurry, you know? It's true.
How many years is it since you pulled up a microphone in Adelaide, mate?
God. With Rabbit. In the
76?
Wow, man, that is a long.
Yeah.
Bloody hell.
About 76?
Are you still alive, Dave?
I don't know, man. Don't tell me in case I'm not.
Yeah.
I think it was, Rabbit was the last time I gigged there.
Well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it was. In Adelaide.
But you've got a mate, you know, you're living over there in America, you get these phone calls from Australia, please come home and do this.
Is it good?
You must have been born with a silver spoon in your
Oh,
mouth.
yeah, sort of up my ass, mate. Yeah, it's been good. I mean, I did the 2 Bon Scott concerts plus the opening thing. That's 3 times for that. Here, getting flown back and forward. It's a great way to come back to Australia. You know, somebody's paying for your airfares.
Yeah, well, it'd be nice to see you bring the band back, though.
I want to, and I'm serious because this is Aussie rock because it's written by Aussies and recorded in Newcastle.
And you're stuck in the whip.
Yeah, over there. But it's Aussie stuff. All the boys that play on it, all my mates from Newcastle, you know, Hindley and fucking Mark Tinson and from Rabbit and all the boys. You know, they're Macca and they're Aussies. They're all on the album. I wouldn't fucking do it with anybody else, but this is. I write it with Mark, and I want the Aussie thing. So I'm teaching them how to play from my albums, saying, okay, you love the stuff, and you're playing all the right chords and stuff, but now let's show you the attitude that it's played in, boys, you know. And so I want to bring the Yanks back here to show my Aussie mates that they can, you know, that they can play the stuff because I love it. But you've got it, as Dave was saying, there's an attitude. You know, and the only way I've been able to really get the attitude across to them, seriously, is to scare the fuck out of them. No, I'm dead serious. It's like...
You're telling me you scare people, Dave? How could you do that?
I don't know.
You're a pussycat, aren't you?
He knows. I don't tell you how to cut, right? Now,
I'll blow it for you, mate. There goes the image.
don't do it.
So we'll hear some rabbit tunes in your set when you come back?
No, I did some rabbit tunes in Europe when I was touring over there. I did Too Much Rock and Roll and Like Him Music I played loud. They fucking loved those too. In fact, wow, I got an email today from a guy in New York. He's bought the Too Much Rock and Roll album of Rabbit on eBay with the poster in it, so it must be pristine. He's got it. He loves Rabbit, and he's going to do a fucking whole program on his radio station in New York on Rabbit. He's fucking rapped it. He said, "Can I use some of the photographs in the posters and promos and shit like that today?" I've gone, "Sure." Rabbit.
So when are we going to see them come out on a CD? Because my LPs are fucked, and
I know, mate. Well,
and I love both those albums.
Well, we can because somebody got in touch with who owns the fucking them now. It was with CBS Records, but they were bought out by Sony or EMI, I don't know. But they said yes, somebody can have them on license.
Fantastic.
But it's whoever wants to do it, you know.
It's on the hashtag.
Yeah, I know. I should. I will do something about that because there are people that do want the stuff because it was. No, we produced some fucking good stuff, you know, and even some of the stuff.
I was just talking about a lot of the
but even some of the stuff that we did, right, that we thought was a bit, the Yanks hear it with completely new ears.
Yes, that's right.
And they go, this stuff, this Aussie stuff from the 70s, they're raving about it, you know, all the bands, all the Countdown, all those boys, they're raving about it. We go, oh, I don't know, wasn't that fucking good?
Well, the classic example is the likes of the Gunners that took up Rose Tattoo as their own, had never heard anything like that before. Like, we're thinking, well, what's wrong with you guys?
Yeah, they love it. It's like,
it's like a little microcosm over here. See, it's always been like that. It's sort of so far outside, that unless you really want to go and try and find out, you don't really know what's going on in Australia. You live in America,
That's right.
You know what the Yanks are like.
Yeah,
they don't know what's happening in the next town.
Mexico's down there, and Canada's up there, and ocean on both sides. That's it, mate.
Is there another country in the world?
They have no clue. They have no clue.
So is it? We're going to hear you do. Can I sit next to you, girl, on Sunday?
Yeah, they want me to do that, so I'll do that. But I'll do the Bon Scott version because that's the one the boys learnt. Because when I went to Perth the first time, I went, right, okay, can I sit next to you, girl? I go, dun, 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 dun. I'm going, what the fuck's this song? I said, what are you doing? What are you playing? They go, can I sit next to you, girl? I went, huh? That's not how it goes. They're going, it's on the record. I said, which record are you talking about, mate? The hit record or the fucking, the second album that Bon re-recorded? Oh, it must be the Bon Scott one. I went, So, but the guys were cool. They all went, they realised pissed off, and they went, all right, we'll learn it now. I said, you got the record? I happen to have it too. I said, yeah, I've got the original single. And they went, okay, no, they're cool about it. And they went, all right, we'll go upstairs and we'll learn it right away. And I went, okay. Went upstairs, we were playing it, because it's different, completely different. And I went, and I thought, no, I'm being a cunt here. And besides, it's about Bon. And I went, hey guys, stop it. I said, all you guys are all going to learn this song when I should just listen to Bon's version that you guys have learnt. And just fucking learn.
That's very reasonable of you, Dave.
What he did, I know. I wouldn't have done that fucking 20 years ago, mate. 20 years ago, I wouldn't have done it.
Oh, you mellowed.
Yeah. Anyway, so I went, okay, let me fucking hear it. So I heard it and went, fine. So that's the version we're doing, is Bond's version.
Well, no, when they flogged your version a lot in Adelaide, not too much around the country elsewhere, but...
Yes, it's a top 5 in fucking Western Australia as well, Tassie, and but we went to Newcastle when it first came out. We're a Sydney fan, and went to Newcastle, and program manager, we were doing a gig that night, so we went there for them to play the record for us. We walked into 2NX, Newcastle, and what's this cunt's name? Remember Sounds Unlimited?
Yeah.
The guy that was producing that was his brother, that was...
All right, not Donny Sullivan.
No, not Donny. The guy that was producing, not Donny.
Daryl Nugent.
No, I fucking... Anyway, one was a good guy, one was a cunt, right?
Yeah, good cop.
Anyway, we got the cunt. Anyway, we walked in there, and straight off the press, and Malcolm Angus, and this is my first radio interview ever. Huh? So,
Yeah.
and the guys play it, and he goes, I don't like it. And we go, what? I'm thinking, what? We come in here to say, I don't like it. And I goes, what do you like about it, Malcolm? The two little guys. What do you like about it? oh, I don't think it's that good, and blah blah. And Malcolm Angus goes, well, we think it's great. We think it's great. It's going to be a hit. Fuck, he's got musical cuts, And he goes, oh, okay. And he got the other DJs, come in. And he played the record. He said, he's the program manager, right? He said to the DJs, tell me what you think of this record. I think it's much good, right? Okay. So he played it. The DJs go, oh, it's not bad. Because I give him a fucking. He's the program manager. They go, oh, it's okay. And it's sort of catchy. And and to the guy goes, see. Malcolm stood up and goes, well, you can get fucked, he goes. I'm going, this is my first radio interview in my whole life, Never been in a radio station before, He goes, well, you can get fucked, you can stick it up your fucking ass. And Angus is going, And we walked out and I went, no, that was great.
There goes the career.
That's it, I'm finished in this country, And so we did the gig that night and smashed it. And one of the DJs that came in, happened to be there at the gig. And we were fucking hot band. And the first thing I did, I had a couple of drinks, I walked on stage with two wooden tambourines, right? And as the band's going, I'm smashing these tambourines together, smash both of them to the fucking crowd before I even started singing it. Right, I was into it, right? So we killed it. And this guy came out after the gig, he goes, I went, you're one of the fucking DJs. He goes, mate, you guys are fucking fantastic. He said, I love that fucking single. He goes, I love it. He was drunk. He goes, let's go back to the station. We'll do the interview now, So we went back there about 3 a.m. Right, this guy was drunk. And because no one there. Yeah. And we did his interview, and he almost got the sack. It was Dennis Lee, became Dennis Knight later in Melbourne. Dennis Lee, his name was up there. Yeah. And he had to leave. He got down to Melbourne, called himself Dennis Knight. He almost got the sack.
Some guy gets a program manager, mate. That's a big
no, it wasn't.
Michael would know all about that.
Yeah. Anyway, what happened was 2 weeks later, Adelaide, bang, fucking flew up the charts, and Tassie and Western Australia, and fucking we were off and running. You know what I mean? But yeah, Malcolm, you can go and get fucked. I'm going. Yeah.
Well, you got to have that belief, haven't you, Dave?
That's what I'm saying. I learned everything from them. That's why I became a cunt after that.
I thought you were born that
way. I remember that tune, mate. I was 12 years old, and as a 12-year-old, you're not interested in music. And I heard Can I Sit Next to You Girl on 5KA back in those days. Yeah. I still remember exactly where I was, exactly the moment. It was like a light went on. Yeah. And it was just the most amazing thing I'd ever heard.
Even in Europe, it's so long ago, these songs, and you go, they're yelling out for it when I'm performing over there, Can I sit next to you, girl? Can I sit next to you, girl? I'm going,
Yeah, well, give the people what they want.
You got it, mate. You got it.
Give the people what they want. But it's a marvellous thing, Dave. When you think back, all those years ago, you do those things, and yet they still, as I was saying to Michael before about the Buffalo stuff as well, it seems to still have a resonance even now.
Well, we were making it up as we were going along. If you remember, we weren't like dictated to like today. They go, "Here's the song. That's how you do it, guys. That's it." And all the fucking same, right? You go to America, all those rock bands. The singer's got the same high pitch, right? It's the same. It's fucking same. Like we were allowed to have our own sound and make it up as we went, and we were living out those. Don't forget, we were living it, mate.
Oh, I know. I was there, mate.
I'm just saying. Don't forget, we were living it. Yeah. So we were telling it as we were living. We were living home with mum and dad and going to pretend to be fucking rock stars. We were out there fucking getting kicked around, having a great time. We were living the stuff and
meeting lots of girls.
Yeah.
Well, even the girls.
How can I forget the girls? I'll never forget what's her name,
Dave, that's the only reason I joined a band.
Oh, well,
I thought, what a great way to think girls back.
It's only the reason I kept coming back into bands after I kept giving up.
Well, I read somewhere that you got up Angus and Mark's nose because you were getting other girls.
That's true.
Is that true?
Yeah. That's true. And whether you fucking like it and believe it or not.
I mean, look at him now. How could you possibly believe that?
He's a gorgeous man.
Yeah, I know.
It's a good idea to have vision on this bloody show, right?
It's turned off, isn't it?
Yeah, it's off. Don't worry about it.
If you you believe that, mate?
Yeah. You don't believe any journalist ever. Is it obvious? Yeah.
He's looking for a few sort of secrets to be given away. You know what I mean?
Well, even back in those days, you worked your asses off, didn't you? You were trekking across the bloody Nullarbor to Perth. You know, that's hard work.
The thing is, we were lucky though because there was that many gigs around those days. You could do the early spot and the late spot. You know what I mean? But they worked our asses off when especially when we got to Perth, because it was like top fucking 5 there too. We were doing 3 gigs a day. We were doing the lunch gig at the hotel, early and late, right? And my voice just gave out in the end. I couldn't even talk. At the end, and they just flogging me.
I went to Melbourne one weekend with Buffalo, and we did 8 gigs in 2 days.
Fuck my God! Yeah. Well, they beat me, mate.
3 on the Friday and 5 on the Saturday.
Well, I just said I did like 6 in 2 days, but that was too much for me. In a rock band, you know.
Well, at least we were doing 1 hour or an hour and a quarter set. You weren't have to play 3 sets.
Oh no. But still, as a singer, you know, I mean, it's all right to play your guitars. We get a little bit of bleedy finger here, but I mean, when this goes, it's gone. Man. You can't do anything about it.
Not as though you're singing bloody schmaltzy love songs either, mate.
That's what I'm saying. You're singing rock.
Yeah, you got to build it out, haven't you?
Killed me, mate.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, you survived, Dave. You know. Look at it. You're a fine-looking man, folks. You know, it's a pity you don't have pictures on this show.
Are you with the photographer?
Oh, we must have lost him
around. Fuck that. Well, sorry to interrupt your thing, but
it's all right. It was lovely to catch up with you.
Present interlude. That's a bonus for you, Mike.
Well, I was actually planning to catch up with Dave tonight. So.
No, it's not going.
But if you've got stuff on, mate, I'm happy to have a chat with you now, and we can just, because I know you're busy.
I know, but I've got something on soon. I've got to get back to the hotel room. We got rehearsals this afternoon.
Not me, no.
Okay, I've got rehearsals this afternoon.
I have other things to do, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Just remember what I joined band for.
Oh. Can we stick around?
No. You make your own arrangements. Make your own arrangements.
I'm just wrapped to be able to get a few minutes with you. So look, we'll.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, you got enough there anyway.
Yeah. Bloody oath. It's perfect timing.
More than enough, though.
I'll harass you next year when you come out in May.
Yeah. No, don't forget to mention my new album, Judgment Day, has been released in Australia.
And it's absolutely brilliant, mate. I love it.
Have you got it?
I have.
Fucking rocks on it, mate. I got the first.
I haven't. Why haven't I got one?
No, I haven't got any myself. I got 4 given to me by the Germans. They've just been released in Germany. You think how quick do you think they went? 4.
Pretty quick, yeah. You got one to your mum.
Do I get any?
One to mum.
Can I have one? No.
You're supposed to give them away to people like me, Dave.
Mate, they're gone. Got the first review in from Germany, fucking mate. I'll tell you.
Raven?
Yep.
Yeah, good mate.
I'm working with my boys, like Mark Tinson and Nariki. Do you know Nariki from Newcastle?
Yeah.
Fuck,
Great
man.
guitar player, man.
Yeah. Smoking on my album, man.
Happening.
Fucking smoking.
I did a show with him up in Wollongong about 2 months ago.
Yeah.
With his 3-piece band, you know.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
He's fantastic.
Yeah, I was really
bass player too. I've toured over there with him. He came over 3-4 years ago when I toured with Molly Hatchet from the United States. He came because he played the album. He's just amazing.
Yeah,
you know. And the other boys, Mac on drums, you know, Mac, Steve Mac.
I don't know too many drummers, mate. You know, I don't hang out with musicians, labourers.
No, we don't normally, but if you knew Mac, you would. Yeah. He is fucking.
Just being facetious, Dave.
No, you're not, because I agree with you. But.
Well, I hope he doesn't hear this.
But no, Mac's fantastic as well. So the boys I work with are just phenomenal.
Fantastic. Oh, it'll be great to have you out here.
And Newcastle, of course, as we know, is a great rock town.
Yeah,
always has been.
Always has been.
Mark and I were up there 2 weeks ago.
I love Newcastle, mate. You know, I really do. And I lived there when I split with AC/DC and joined Rabbit. I actually moved to Newcastle for about 8-9 months till our first album came out, and then moved back to Sydney. But I love living up there too.
Mate, do you remember those gigs down at Checkers we used to do all the time?
Mate,
you should have seen Dave. I'll tell you what, he was a fashion faux pas.
Mate, we had the best fun, didn't we? Or what?
We had a good time.
We had a fabulous time, and so did the girls.
Who cares?
Oh, I did then. Now,
no.
The Checkers was great. It was a fantastic place, and also the Lifesavers Club too. That was a rocking joint. But it was the 70s, man. Yeah. We were having the ball of our time of our lives, weren't we?
Yes,
seriously.
We were younger then too, Dave, and able to enjoy it.
Well, so you're not having a good time anymore?
Well, I still have a
not as good as then. I mean, you've got to admit that.
No, well, it was a 24/7 in those days. Now it's, it's 3 hours a day, twice a week.
But the 70s, as I've always said, you missed the 70s, bad luck. Bad luck.
Did I say, do you remember? You weren't there?
Well, I'll tell you what, I remember. I'm one of the lucky
ones. You weren't there, mate?
I was there, mate. I read a lot of it. Some of it.
No, I know you were there, Dave. I saw you, mate.
Yeah, I saw you there too, mate.
I saw you dancing around in your high heel boots, mate. You were looking really
You didn't have any high heel boots?
I'm trying to maintain some credibility here.
Oh, shit.
It's worth getting those Rabbit albums put out just so those fantastic outfits can be seen again. That's right.
Well, I actually got... the reason why I got those outfits was I'd seen Falling Orange.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
The Droogs.
They all had that sort of braces and fucking shit. And I sort of had a similar look for a while in AC/DC with the white pipes and shit. Malcolm had his fucking silk outfit and we all did like shit for a while. And I thought, well, what am I going to do? I thought, I know, I want a gang sort of a feel to the band. And the Droogs was like a tough band. So I thought, okay, I said to the boys, what we're going to do is we're going to get some tights and boots, braces, and Mark Tinsler going to wear the bowler hat like the Droogs, black bowler hat. And so that
black
was,
makeup around the eye too.
Oh, I didn't have that. But that was the look. That was before Kiss. Kiss had never been fucking heard of at this stage. And that was the braces and Mark with his black bowler hat. And Mark looked pretty fucking evil too in those days. Not that he is he? But that's the reason for that look. And it was going really well until Kiss came out with want to rock and roll, that big hit. And we went, and it goes set, Rabbit. We don't like Rabbit, they're copying Kiss.
Yeah.
First letter, and we went,
We've got the same thing with Buffalo, being compared to Black Sabbath all the time. And I got to tell you, the thing about Buffalo was that we were playing the sort of stuff we were playing before we ever heard any Black Sabbath stuff. But as soon as Black Sabbath came out, it's like, oh, you guys are copying us. Well, hang on a minute. Sorry, we were doing this.
If only they knew.
Before.
Yep. Because we saw photos of Kiss before we heard any of their music. And I went, look at the cunts, they got fucking boots and shit like us. And I said then to the boys, I said, if they come out with a fucking hit record around the world, I said, we're fucked, right? And we were down in Melbourne. And we put on the radio, we were staying at the Freeway Gardens. Right? We're staying down there. Anyway, put the radio on, and what comes on? I want to rock and roll on. I went, oh, no, boys. I went, oh, shit. And we sort of...
Change of image.
Well, we were sort of trying to hang on, and then that letter came out on Go Set saying, fucking Rabbit copying Kiss, and that was it. Then we went back to jeans, went back to jeans and sort of still kept sometimes the braces, but went back to jeans and shit because we couldn't win that one. And
that's pretty much a story of Australian rock and roll in a lot of ways, isn't it?
That's right.
There's so many things that if you trace them back, they were being done here first.
Yeah, that's right.
But because of the huge market overseas, somebody else had come out
with an idea,
and all of a sudden you get completely swamped,
But that's also why the stuff that you guys did way back then is still so loved and revered now, because it's it was so good and so groundbreaking. Maybe it's taken people bloody 30 years to realise that.
Well, at least people have realised it. So there's something.
Well, I've done a lot of
superannuation day. Hey?
Well, I've done a lot of interviews around the planet, right? And when they talk about Rabbit, as they do, right, I always say that look was before Kiss. I always tell them that, and I tell them where it came from. The Droogs from thing and photos there with Mark with his bowler hat to justify what I'm fucking saying, so they go, oh wow. I said, yeah, it's fucking Kiss, fucking copycat.
But the best thing about the overseas things now, when you get those kind of exposure, is that they don't have those preconceptions. They come at it from a different angle.
Right.
They don't come at it from like an Australian angle of we're Australians and it can't be quite as good as overseas.
That's right.
They just see it as it's either good or bad, and they don't put those labels on things.
Well, quite a few years ago, not that long ago, I remember I did my first sort of interviews overseas. Must have been about 2000, I suppose. And I was saying, they were going like, tell us more about this Aussie rock, right? I'm thinking, Aussie rock? I'm serious. What Aussie rock? I didn't know there was such a thing as Aussie rock, because this is coming from Aussie rock. We love that Aussie rock sound. I'm thinking, Aussie rock star. I didn't know there was one. You know, because we're here doing it.
Yeah, that's right. Well, it's always hard to see when you're actually inside it. You can't see it from outside.
And I had to sit back, and I did. I was getting from the Yanks and the Europeans about this Aussie rock, which I never knew existed. I've seen it. I just sit back and think about what we did and where it came from, those tough pubs that we used to play at. You know, all those. Of course, now when I'm doing interviews, I say tough pubs. I said you'd go in there, and all these guys would be fucking. They'd be in there with their arms folded, going, "We hate these bastards because they want our women." I said, and we had to go and smash them so hard that when we finished the gig, they said, "Here, have my sister." They love that. They go, "Yeah, right," they're writing it down. Yeah,
well, never mind your sister. Where's your mum?
That's it. So you know, and that's how I explain it to them.
Yeah.
You know, they're going to bash us up because they know we want their women. And when you fucking give it to them, they say, you can have my sister, mate. I understand that.
It's like a bloody thing in the Blues Brothers, you know, where they're playing behind the chicken wire, you know.
That happens over there, though. That's real.
Yeah, well, mate, you know, you've played all those gigs in Blacktown and all the rest of it, you know. We used to get that, but they didn't have the chicken wire.
Yeah, I know, exactly.
So you had to duck and weave.
Oh, mate.
But the thing is, I thought that was just for the movie, right? They do have gigs like that in the movie with the actual wire. That's not for the movie, that's real.
Yeah, no, I'm sure it is.
I went, you kidding? They go, no, we played those gigs. We played those gigs, Dave. I go, oh, no. Yeah, fuck that. Yeah, I should have said, don't worry about it. In Australia, we do those gigs without the chicken wire.
Right. Yeah, it's like football. We don't need all the padding, mate.
I'm taking that line back with me.
Well, just make sure you credit me with it, all right?
One thing I wanted to ask you, Dave, was I was disappointed when Family Jewels come out that the guys didn't see fit to put some stuff for you, because there is a lot of footage around of you with AC/DC, and it's sad that that's not out there for people.
Well, it's sad for the fans because they all know.
That's right.
They all know, and they've mentioned it to me and said, well, that's their thing, man. You know, if they, you know, I don't know what's in their bonnet, and I said, well, after I split with the band, I didn't hold any grudges whatsoever, because it happens all the time with any band. As people come and go, and some people do get on for a while and don't get on. It's like families, mate. And the same thing with every family. You usually find out your worst enemy is in your own family. That's a fact of life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, domestic violence is always the worst violence, isn't it?
It's true.
Yeah.
Cops always get shot dead when they come to the door. But yeah, the fans did. They know it. You know, they marked about it. But you know, I was disappointed too, because it should be there. The fans know it. But that's their decision. And as I said before, if they've still got a problem with me after all these years, they should see a therapist.
Yeah, I think it's just pretty straightforward, really, Dave. You know, they're concentrating on what they're doing now, like we all do. You know, that's what it comes down to.
No, they went right back to Bond's first era as well, the whole thing. But they missed out on that, which was the groundbreaker song for us. And the thing is, as I say, the fans around the world know about it. The cat's out of the bag.
Yeah.
You know,
not like it's a secret.
And it should be there for the three eras. And totally agree.
It'll happen, mate. I'm sure. You know, there'll be another one down the line.
Well, you know, it's up to them, as I say.
You'll get your $50 check.
I haven't got paid a cent from that record ever. Never got a cent for it.
There's hope, mate. Well, there's hope.
I bet you wish you had a garage full of them.
Well, I saw one of those original vinyl Carsonet G girls going for over $1,000 US.
Is that right? Yeah.
Unbelievable, really.
I wish I had about 100 of them.
Mate, don't worry. I wish I'd kept some Buffalo albums now.
Sure.
Yeah, I've seen them $300-400 on eBay as well.
Yeah.
Vinyl.
Yeah, the Rabbit stuff too. In fact, you know, it's so funny. I went to, I was when I was in Newcastle, I don't know, about 5-6 years ago. I wanted to just look up the street, and there was a second-hand record store there. I went in there and all the vinyl, you know, all those great albums we had, and some still have.
Great artwork and all that.
And for different prices. And I thought, I wonder if there's any Rabbit here, right? And I had a look through, and there was Too Much Rock and Roll album and the Rabbit album, and they were about 3 times the price of any other record in the store. This is in Newcastle, of course, because Rabbit's from Newcastle.
Yep.
And I was like, wow. So they must, in Newcastle, they're worth more than Jimi Hendrix, more than Eric Clapton, more than the Beatles. So we're big in Newcastle still.
But you know why, don't you? Because they never printed as many to start with. They're rarer.
Because people kept them, so.
Yeah, well, that's right. And so they should.
That's right. I've still got mine.
It was too much fun.
Mate, I come across old Buffalo records all the time, but generally ashtrays.
In the $2 bin.
You know, you sort of put them over the heater on the oven, you know, bend up the sides.
Yeah, I know.
There you go, bit of ashtray.
But I tell you what, we had a great time. That era of music was just, it was a fantastic time.
We were young and full of beans, mate.
Yeah, there was no AIDS around. No AIDS around, and it was the 70s, and it was just a party every night, you know. It was a great time. And as we said before, we were writing our own music, making our own music. And what was great was, you know, we'd listen to Buffalo or Dragon and all the other Air Supply, whatever, to see what they were up to.
You actually listened to Air Supply?
Yeah, Air Supply was a good band. Okay. They were a good band. Of course, they were not much good live. No. They were CBS Records with us, and I remember we did the swap, the Body Lifestyles Club, and they went on after us, you know, and Rabbit went on, smashed the fucking place to bits as usual.
Weird combination.
Air Supply came on with it, you know, and the place emptied. After 3 songs, I'm sure there was no one there except Rabbit. We got the bar and a drink, it was completely empty. We went, ha. 6 months later, they went to the United States with the #1 hit in the USA. And we were laughing on the other side of our faces.
MOR, mate, yeah. They did some great harmonies, those boys, you know. You can't deny that they made quality music.
Exactly.
You know.
They were good. I did actually play their albums, they were quite good. But I said live, you know, they were boring as fucking batshit, and they just were.
Yeah.
You know, as manifested with the crowd just going, you know. But they said they had a fucking couple of #1 hits in the United States not long after that. They didn't care about the bottle lifestyle, the crowd leaving.
No, that's right. Yeah, why would you?
Yeah, why would you? You know? So is that enough?
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you very much.
Yeah, piss off. Thanks for interrupting my interview, Dave.
So you can say, what? Yeah. I'm gone.
See you.
Cheers, Dave. Where were we?
Yeah, well, there you go. You got a bonus, mate. You know?
I'm going out drinking after work tonight with the missus, so we were planning on catching up with Dave afterwards, so I can have a few extra bevies and not have to worry. So that's good timing.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea how long it's going to take me to edit this?
Well, mate, I reckon you've
weeks.
War and peace here, haven't you?
Yeah. The only thing we sort of haven't covered is your partnership with Mr. Mark Evans.
Yes.
Which, as you said before, has been some 14 years.
About 14 years, yeah. I mean, doing what we do now really started completely by accident, because we did some stuff together with the Headhunters. We did an album and a bunch of gigs, and then went our separate ways. You know, that was Mick Cox from the Tats, and you know, Mark went off and did some other stuff, and so did I. But in the meantime, Coxie called me up one day and he said, Dave, he said, he was living down at Bondi at the time, and he said, oh, you know, the pub down here wants somebody to do some stuff on a Sunday afternoon. Have you got a bit of free time? And I said, oh yeah, what do they want to do? And he said, well, they want, you know, like an acoustic sort of duo thing. And I said, well, mate, I'm a singer, but I haven't played much guitar. And he said, oh, well, you know, we'll whack something together. So anyway, we ended up doing a bunch of shows at this pub, which went really, really well, you know. Kind of surprised me at the time, because, you know, it's a hell of a change when you go from being just a singer with a band, and suddenly you're sitting there with an acoustic guitar. It's a completely different rave, you know, and it was kind of daunting for me. But, you know, Mick's a great guy, a great player, and it makes life easy for me, you know. But what followed up from that was we got offered a few other things, and Mick had rose tattoo gigs he had to do, so he wasn't available for some stuff. And this particular venue were really chasing us to do some shows. Anyway, Mark called me up and he said, oh, you know, this bird from this venue keeps calling and trying to get hold of Mick, and I said, well, he's out of town, and he said, well, we should, what about it? I'll come down and do it with you. And I said, well, Mark, you're a bass player, you know. He said, oh, but I can get away with guitar. And he could do more than get away with guitar.
Oh, yeah,
you know, I mean,
most definitely.
You know, he's a really good guitar player. So we ended up going and doing it. It was a restaurant, believe it or not, you know, which is a bit strange for what we're doing in some ways, but it worked really well.
Thank you.
Thanks, man. And and it just went on from there. You know, like I said, just completely by mistake, by accident, really. And within days of starting to do this particular gig with Mark, we were offered a residency at the Bridge Hotel in Rozelle in Sydney there, which is really an iconic live venue in Sydney. You know, it's been going for something like 20 odd years. So we took that residency, and in fact we've been resident at the Bridge now for 13 years.
13 years, unbelievable.
Yeah, you know, and the beauty of it is, as I said to you before, it's about 150 metres from my front door, which. You know, that appeals to me, you know.
Oh, yeah.
It's a lot easier than jumping in the Triangle and driving, you know, driving from Sydney to Perth or something, you know. So, you know, and it's carried on from there. I mean, we've done a couple of live recordings of what we do.
Yeah.
Just straight from the mixer as we're doing shows. Very, very short runs, maybe 100, 150 copies. We sold those within days, you know. And then we did another live recording with a good friend of ours, Dave. His nickname is Straw, Dave Quinn, sound man and recording engineer up in Sydney, and he has a mobile recording unit. And he came to one of our shows and we recorded. In fact, we did 2 nights in a row and recorded the whole thing. And I went back to England in 2005 to do some reunion shows with the Count Bishops in London, which were fantastic, you know. And while I was there, I'd had the first rough mixes of the stuff that we'd done with Dave, and run into some people from a little record company in Austria. And they said, "Oh, gee, Dave, you know, would you be interested in putting this stuff out in Europe?" So we did a little deal with them, and they, you know, so we've got an album now on CD which has been sold in Europe, in Vienna and Austria and places like that. And in fact, we ended up in was it 2006? Got contacted by the people over there. Said, "Oh, we've got this festival going on outside of Vienna, and we'd like to get you to come over and play at it to launch the thing, you know."
Right.
So we flew from Sydney to Vienna, 20 hours on the plane. We got off the plane, spent 30 hours on the ground in Vienna, did a bunch of radio interviews on the live gig at this festival, jumped back on the plane and flew straight back to Sydney. It was like an overnighter, the other side of the world, you know. It was pretty cool though, you know. I mean, with what we do with the acoustic thing, you know, normally if we're having a good show, there's a lot of chat goes on. Mark's always got a joke, you know, and you think to yourself, well, that works in Australia, and where people speak English as their first language. So we were kind of concerned whether the Austrians would understand what we're on about, you know, because, you know, I mean, obviously English is not their first language, but amazingly, they were really onto it, you know. I was really quite amazed by the whole thing, you know. So there you go.
That's one of the things that stood out last night, seeing you guys play, was the interplay between you. You were having a great time together, you can tell, and it rubs off on the crowd.
Well, like I said to you before, Michael, we're mates, you know, and we don't have a lot of hang-ups about these things. And Mark's happy to talk. He's always got something smart-ass to say.
He's a shy character.
Yeah. and you know, to me, one of the greatest pleasures I get out of doing live shows is when we get some interaction between ourselves and the audience, you know. In some ways, that venue last night was a little less intimate than I like to have. You know, it wasn't about 500 people fit in the place, and there weren't 500 people there last night. I think there probably about a couple hundred or something like that, as you know. And because you're on a reasonably high stage and some distance from people, it's very hard to get that communication going between, you know, because you need to be able to see people's eyes to communicate properly. You know, here we are, we're talking, I'm looking at you in the eye, you know, we can understand each other. It's the same with an audience, you know, but if you get that interaction, there's a connection between you. To me, that's really what a show is all about, you know. I look at it as a community thing, you know. For a short amount of time, you're one community in a room, and you're all sharing the experience together. I don't like to look at things as there's the artist on the stage, and there's some kind of separation between audience and performer. I find that a bit lifeless, quite frankly, you know. But when you get, I don't mind people yelling out, you know, and you have a joke backwards and forwards, or a bit of a chat, you know. To me, that's the fun of it, you know.
As I said last night, watching how much fun you two were having, it just instantly rubs off on the crowd. Actually, before that Dave Evans character interrupted us, I was just quickly going to ask you, because we were talking about England, that you wrote a few tunes for the boys in Dr. Feelgood, one of my favourite bands. One I remember was Waiting for Saturday Night.
Waiting for Saturday Night, yes. It's funny because about 3 weeks ago we were doing a place called the Sandringham Hotel in Sydney, which we do quite regularly in Newtown, and this fellow turned up and he said, I said, Dave, I've got something for you here. And he pulled out a CD of Dr. Feelgood singles. It's like a compilation of all their singles, and Waiting for Saturday Night is on that. So he gave me this thing, and because the Count Bishop, we toured with Dr. Feelgood over there, and in fact our guitar player Johnny Guitar played with Dr. Feelgood for about 2 years or so. When the Bishops broke up, around about the same time, Chippy Mayer, who was playing guitar for Dr. Feelgood at the time, left the band, and they got Johnny to play with them.
Right.
And I'll say Johnny and I had been writing songs for the Count Bishops together anyway, and Waiting for Saturday Night, and there's another song called Eileen, which was on one of their albums as well, which he and I wrote together. So we'd written these two songs ostensibly at that time, thinking that next time we went in to do some Bishop stuff, we would use these songs.
Right.
But Lee and the boys heard them, and they ended up being on.
And snaffled them.
Yeah. Well, it was great. The one thing that I don't like about it is that at the time, Dr. Feelgood's management had their own publishing company, so we assigned those particular songs through their publishing company. It's not the band itself; it was their management. And so far, I have yet to see a royalty statement.
Good.
Right, and you can guarantee that having not seen a royalty statement, I've yet to see a cheque either.
Yeah.
So, I don't know how many copies those things have sold, but I can tell you that they owe me money. And the sad thing, of course, now is that Lee's passed on, He died a few 5 years back. Good man, Lee. Great band anyway. The whole
they were, and
bunch.
he's certainly a character, wasn't he?
Yeah. Great showman, And, geez, he liked his piss, I've got to tell you.
Yeah, I would never have guessed that.
He was a serious beer drinker,
All right, mate. Well, just to finish off with what's in the pipeline in 2009 for you.
Well, we've been working recently on doing some studio recording of what we've been playing. But as you'll be aware, we do a sort of mixture of kind of bluesy type stuff and a bunch of original songs as well, and we want to get those recorded properly. Some of them we've already done live recordings, but as you're well aware, in a studio you can take a slightly different approach, be a bit more careful about bum notes and things like that, So we're working on that at the moment. We've demoed up about 10 songs, and when we get back to Sydney in the next month or so, we'll be going to the studio.
Fantastic.
And recording,
Hopefully we'll see you back in Adelaide. Back in Adelaide next the new year.
I have it on good authority that Savage Events, which is the
guys promoting
Tony Savage and Tim are intending to bring us down reasonably regularly over the next 12 months or so to do some winery shows.
Oh yeah.
And we'll certainly be making sure that we get down to promote the recording once that's done.
Good one.
And of course, once we do it, I'll be punting a copy over to you, mate.
Thank you. I will be more than that.
You'll only have to pay twice what everybody else
pays. Only have to pay twice. Thank you very much. Listen, mate, you have given me so much of your time in the last couple of days, and it's been an absolute joy.
Well, it's my pleasure, mate. It was nice to meet you, mate.
It's been great to catch up with you and talk about some of the stuff that I grew up with, and just so good that it's still out there and still happening. That's the good thing. Even with our mate Mr. Evans, it's good to see him still out there flogging around the world. So
we're tragics, really, Michael. You know what I mean? The thing about music is that it really does consume you. As a fan yourself, that there are moments that you mark in your life by particular songs.
Oh yeah.
It resonates with us, and if you're a musician, you can't get away from it. You can't escape it. It's I suppose it's like being a leper. Once you got leprosy, I'm sorry, you're stuck with it. And music's the same. It gets under your skin, and but here we are sitting in a bar in Adelaide.
All right, Dave. Thank you again, mate. Cheers.
My
all the
pleasure,
best.
Michael.